Welcome to Juforade, and I'm your host, Juforade. And I'm here today to talk to you about emulation. And not just any emulation, but video game emulation. Which some of you actually are probably guilty of actually doing to play older retro games. Because I know I'm guilty of it. You guys hadn't come to realize it, but on this channel I seem to play a lot of handheld games. As well as games that just come out for the iOS for cheap. But that's how I am, I'm a cheap gamer. I like to play my games at the expense of having fun instead of getting new ads every other screen, or maybe it's a pay-for-play type of game. No, I prefer to just buy a game and play it and never have to pay any type of subscription fee. I mean, I would buy one of the mainstream new games that be coming out for $60, but I'm not really into those type of games. I think one of the last games I actually bought for $60 was Titanfall, and that wasn't even for the Xbox 360. Anyway, emulators. And why do we use them? Well, because we want to use them to play games that we don't have access to. But emulators are just used to emulate the hardware, whereas the software, that comes from ROMs, and that's the real thing that's illegal. It's the actual games. Downloading games, especially retro games that are now available for retail download off of one of your favorite Nintendo consoles, is now the legal way of playing retro games. Yet, a lot of game players are now just taking old games and tweaking them and creating their own games, now known as ROM Hacks. And there are plenty of streamers that know a few things about ROM hacks. And by few, I mean millions. Yet not a single person seems like they're in the battle with court right now about how they're playing their games. And for a moment, I began to think, wow, I guess like ROMs and emulation and just playing games for free is just legal now. Nobody will bat an eye. I remember when Let's Plays began to become a thing back in 2007. And people turned away from people that use emulation as their way of recording their gameplay. And I always use freaking emulation because, it's right there on the computer, on the laptop, didn't need any other software, didn't need a dazzle. And it was just right there, nice, convenient, and easy. And I think that's why people still do emulation today, because it's way more convenient. Not because it's cheap, no. But that's another convenient part of it. See, there are collectors out there that look at themselves as upper-class gamers because they actually collect the physical copies of the games, versus the actual hardcore players who just want to play the game versus actually owning them. And they're the ones who actually go out and emulate it and play it on whatever controller that sees fit for their own best control. Horrible grammar aside, I'm trying to say any gamer is the same gamer no matter which way they collect the game. As long as they have it available to play, it doesn't matter how you freaking have it or what you use to play it, because pretty much every device I own in some type of way is patched so it can play emulated ROMs. Why? Because the GBA was one of my favorite generation of video games, and I still want to play Final Fantasy Tactics Advance on the go. The question that I'm leading to all the way up to 3 minutes into this video is emulation wrong? A whole bunch of people actually use emulators to actually make a living by, making videos on YouTube by playing games that they don't own, so they actually use emulators that they just have on their fancy-ass computers that they can play at high speed. But are we supposed to feel guilty about not actually getting up and going to buy our games at a local flea market or eBay? Just like I mentioned before, I actually use emulation all the time, and I don't think there's a problem with it. Even though I don't own a lot of the games that I play, I just wanted to just play them once or twice and maybe just say I actually had the experience of actually playing the game versus actually owning the game, instead of just letting it sit and collect dust in the corner or something. Because that's what would happen if I actually bought the games. And personally, I'm not a collector myself because I actually am more of a digital guy, and I prefer actually just having it as software and not just as hardware. It doesn't take up that much space, but I would actually rather have it digitally downloaded from the service officially and have it all the time and available anywhere, but most of the time that's not how it happens, so that's why I just have it as an emulated property. Not to say that I actually own ROMs, but like I said, I don't want to be like too direct with this. But I am being direct with this question. Do you prefer using emulators or do you prefer collecting your games? Leave in the comments your preferred way to play your old school games. I got my preferred way and it's on my little PSP that I, did a little tinkering with. Anyway, to say the least, you guys, I just want to try to make as many videos as I possibly can in the fall. And I'm actually looking forward to it because this is actually my favorite season. So I'll be talking to you guys more on Twitter. Follow me there.